Update. Tinubu's emergency rule in Rivers faces legal tests. Guys, it's happening. The Federal High Court in Port Harcourt had adjourned until May 26, 2025. And the constitutional suit filed by Dr. Dagogo, a former federal lawmaker and the 2023 Rivers State governorship aspirant, challenging President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's suspension of Governor Simlalayi Fubara, the Deputy Governor, Professor Ngozi Odu, and all the members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we can recall, on March 18th, declared a state of emergency in Rivers due to the prolonged political crisis in the state, which he said posed a claim to national assets in the oil sector. But we all knew that that was a big lie, because there was no threat in Rivers State, neither was there any political crisis that could potentially pose a threat to our national assets. So he deliberately suspended the state's democratically elected leadership and appointed a retired vice admiral in the person of Ibok Eti Ibas as the state's sole administrator. And ever since that man came into Rivers State, Rivers has not been the same, with Rivers people asking Tinubu to return their governor, Rivers women most especially protesting. We've seen a lot of protests from Rivers women. They seem to like their governor, to love their governor, and they don't even recognize Ibok Ibas as their ruler. On several occasions, they demanded for Governor Fubara's reinstatement. So, in the reaction, Dr. Dangogo filed a suit contending that the president's actions were unconstitutional and extended his legal authority. And during the Monday's hearing, the plaintiff counsel Cosmos San had informed the court that all defendants had been properly served and that they were ready to proceed. The defendants listed in the suit included President Tinubu, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and the Nigerian Senate Speaker, the Speaker of the House of Reps, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, and Ibas of the defendants. Only the fifth Vice Admiral was present in court through his counsel, Kainde San, who requested more time to respond to the originating summons. And after hearing from both sides, Justice Amadu, Justice Adamu, Mohammed, granted the extension, but emphasized that the case would proceed on the next adjourned date, regardless of any further delays. So, speaking to journalists after the session, the San maintained that President Tinubu's actions were quite unconstitutional, that Tinubu cannot act as a teen god. He doesn't have the constitutional authority to suspend an elected representative or govern over 4 million Rivers people and those doing business in Rivers State. It is quite unconstitutional. If he said Rivers State is not safe, how about the insecurity narrative in Benue? How about the insecurity narrative in Plateau and Borno? Serious security challenge persist in those areas. People are being killed. Some local governments remain under Boko Haram control, yet no state of emergency was declared there. Rivers State has remained relatively peaceful. In fact, I feel that that particular bombing of the pipeline, few months back, I felt it was done by the federal government just to create a ruckus, to create tension, and to spark the flames of instability and crisis in Rivers. At this point, I really commend Dangogo for taking a legal action against Mr. President's decision when others fail to take an action against Tinubu's illegality. These are leaders who are willing to defend the Nigerian constitution. And providing insight into the reason for the adjournment, the SAN explained that counsel for the fifth defendant informed the court that their legal team was at the court's registry filling documents in response to the originating summon. He noted that the fifth defendant's counsel requested an adjournment to finalize the filing process, and in the interest of fairness, they did not object. However, all the defendants had been properly served. None had filed a memorandum of appearance, conditional appearance, or any form of legal response to the suit. Meanwhile, the counsel to, the other defendants declined to comment on the matter. But then, Nigerians are watching this court case. It's really interesting to know that some persons are, have the interest of Rivers State at heart and would go to any length, would go to extra length, even if it means seeking a legal path. Although we know that the Nigerian judiciary these days, they tend to delay proceedings and want to drag issues and all of that, prolong issues. But I'm sure that they would give a judgment on this particular case. Now, the thing is, even if the court should give a judgment and declare that what Tinubu did in Rivers was unconstitutional, who would hold Tinubu accountable for his actions? Nobody will hold Tinubu accountable. Nobody will query him. In fact, he wouldn't be asked to resign whatsoever. He will still continue perpetrating this illegality in Nigeria so long as we sit back and watch it happen. So they've adjourned this case and they fixed it for May 26th to hear the suit challenging Governor Fubara and the lawmakers' suspension in Rivers State. And at this point, this particular case has really caught a lot of attention from several Nigerians. And with the way things are going, many people have also reacted to this. Now, let's take a few reactions from Nigerians. The next adjournment will be in July, when annual vacation of superior courts like the Federal High Court would be around the corner to resume by September. And then by the first phase of the the first phase of the emergency rule will be over. Nigerian courts will never give you justice, especially when you are fighting against the government. Guys, these are reactions from Nigerians. I know that the Nigerian judicial system is full of delay. It reeks of delay. And somehow, this, hinders justice in the system. I'm dropping here. Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, like us, share, subscribe. Thank you. Bye for now.